right. Welcome, everybody. This is Friends of Zeus. Tonight, we're going to revisit the Rittenhouse trial. The verdict came out last Friday on the 19th. So we're recording this on Tuesday, the 23rd. So it's been about 4 days since the verdict came out. So there's a lot of things to talk about since this verdict came out. We want to get everybody's reaction and all the media discussions and talk about some of the things that have been said afterwards. But first, I think we should kind of go around the room and just kind of get what was everybody's initial reaction, because for me, when I watched it, I was watching them read the verdict. The lady was reading, count number 1, not guilty, count number 2. And you could see Rittenhouse, if you were watching him closely, you could see him like building up with I don't know if it was tension but he just started to shake a little and convulse. And then by the time she read the last one, count number 5 and not guilty, and he realized he was free, he just collapsed. And it was I just felt like a big relief for me and on behalf of him that he got off. I don't want to say got off, but he the verdict came through in his favor. It was moving to watch that. So what did you guys think when you first heard the verdict? Who wants to go?
I was very pleased.
Yeah, I was as well. I wanted the guy to get off. Well, go ahead. We'll just say how we felt first.
Well, no, you can flesh it out if you want.
Yeah, you can.
Well, I mean, so here's my only concern is he did do something stupid. I'm just hoping that he stays clean, because he's going to be under the microscope more than most people would ever have to be for probably a very long time.
Yeah.
Well, so I hope he keeps his nose clean. Probably.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, he's going to be able to sue. I mean, so many people.
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah.
I mean, he is going to be Mr. Daddy Warbucks here shortly. So, I mean,
I think so.
Yeah, I saw a Bleem that said that, he's when he basically gets CNN, he's going to, who's the country singer that's really pro-gun?
Trace Adkins?
He's
all of
big,
them.
he's big NRA guy. Anyway, they were going to make him the program director at CNN, which I thought was good stuff.
Who?
I'm trying to remember his name. I'm having a senior moment.
Are you serious?
Country music singer?
You're kidding, right?
Yeah, the guy who's really pro-gun. See him in a lot of gun-related things. He's actually he's more of a rocker. He's not a country singer.
Ted Nugent. You're talking about
Ted Nugent. Yeah, just make Ted Nugent his program director. I thought that would have been great.
Rittenhouse is going to own CNN.
You're joking.
Yes, okay. Mike, he's joking.
It's a joke. Yeah. So I'm saying it was a meme on Facebook.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. No, I think
that would be
I was just grateful that just for one damn time the justice system worked, because I really do think 90% of the time it's stacked against you, and being innocent really is not. It'll help, but it's not all that much help if they decide to indict you. And I'm kind of glad that it worked in his case.
Yeah. I was. Well, we, obviously we covered the pre-verdict, the case last week in episode 40. And I think Zeus was sort of leaning this way. And I had predicted that I thought that they would get him on one of the charges, at least one, because he shot 3 people, right? I mean, so I figured one of them, because the jury was asking to see a lot of stuff again. And they wanted the self-defense claim. They wanted to look at that again.
The instructions.
Yeah, the instructions.
They were out for a long time. It was like 3.5 days.
Well, I mean, we think of it as long, but I mean, they know they got this kid's life in their hands, and there were,
Yeah.
5 different charges. So, but I could see why he, obviously this kid knew he was going down for the rest of his life if he was convicted. And so you hear not guilty count 1, and you can empathize what it must be like standing there waiting for count 2, waiting for count 3, because you're thinking, okay, this is good, so far so good, but they're gonna get me on one of these, and that would be enough probably to do about 20 years. I mean, because you killed somebody, or maybe 10, maybe 15, who knows. Either way,
Right.
you're going to jail. You're not going home.
Yeah, I think
And
that's why he
so-
waited till like the 5th and final
Oh,
count before
think-
he kind of
I
collapsed.
think the audience of the public did as well, because a lot of people wanted to see that kid go down,
Yeah.
and that's obvious, from
Thank God the judge threw out the gun charge. He dismissed the gun charge, because he
Yeah.
could have
Yeah.
got that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how much time he would have done for that, but I think if the gun charge had stood, it might have weighed into the other charges. You never know.
I think
Well,
that I think that's pretty fair to assume.
I
Yeah.
think they realized, I mean, but the reason they threw it out was because everybody realized that he was clearly not breaking that law. So they decided, I mean, it didn't make sense to have that charge in there.
Yeah, no, but Tom, that's what I'm talking about. If that charge stood when they
But the
went
jury
into
they would have came to the same conclusion, right?
well,
yeah.
you would hope.
Or you think they would have used that because it was a lesser charge just to give him the slap on the wrist that Zeus was talking about?
They might have, but or it might have weighed into the reckless charge. You never know. I mean,
Well,
if he was,
I've got it.
if he was walking around brandishing an illegal firearm, that might have weighed in on one of the reckless charges. It might have.
Yeah, actually, I don't think it was illegal. Apparently, it was a issue of the barrel length, which apparently was okay.
Right. That's why they threw it
But
out.
you got to hand it to that jury. I mean, they had all the pressure on them to try and find something to convict him on, and apparently they decided to go with the evidence, which is pretty admirable.
Yeah, it's hard to say what was going through their mind for those 3 days, but so what was your guys' reaction to a lot of the media reaction? Because it was across the board, and didn't seem to be a whole lot of holding back, especially from the MSNBCs and CNNs.
A white supremacist he's a racist white supremacist who got off with there's a separate justice system for whites and blacks, and it was a white jury that and we don't even know the makeup of the jury, right? I mean, I haven't.
I know it was like
I wouldn't
7
wanna-
women
wouldn't
and
wanna make
5
this up.
men, right?
Yeah.
7 women, okay,
But-
and
No, I think it was mostly white.
yeah.
Here's my question. So Kyle Rittenhouse is innocent of all charges. So what do we do about this guy that got shot in the arm that hit him with a skateboard repeatedly? Now, one would
Well,
think.
That was
Well, he's
Gage.
dead.
That was Gage. No, Gage
No,
didn't
no,
hit
no.
him with the skateboard.
Yeah, the
Oh, well-
skateboard guy is dead.
Okay, so who fired the gun?
The gun fired guy, the guy that held a pistol to Rittenhouse's head, he got shot in the arm. He's still alive.
So
That's gross.
are they going to press charges on him? Because one would think that if he,
No.
I think they
that's
should.
up.
I think Kyle should press charges.
No, they're not. They already granted immunity, I think, to Crooch.
that's
Did they?
fucking.
Did they ever show his arm after?
Yeah,
like,
it was decimated.
because he looked like he could move it. You would think he wouldn't be able to move that arm. I mean,
What was his last name?
Gross.
Crooch.
Gross Crooch, yeah, another weird name.
The weird thing, after he got shot in the arm, he was still, there's pictures of him still holding the gun in his hand, in that same hand.
Yeah,
So I don't know how he managed to do that.
yeah.
Mhm.
But it was Gross Crooch,
He's the one. I don't know if you saw it. They were in like a Zoom meeting, and he was on his chair and he fell.
I did.
Did you guys?
he
I
also
saw that.
got a DUI arrest just a couple days ago.
What?
He's got a long rap sheet, I think.
Yeah, sounds to me like his life has got more adventures left for it.
Was Gross Crooch, I don't know, was he the child molester?
No, that was the other guy. That was
No,
the guy that got.
that was Jojo Rosenbaum.
Rosenbaum. Okay. Oh,
I love
yeah.
these-
And
I love
Rosenbaum
these
was
names.
the one, yeah,
I love the names.
that was threatening to kill him.
Yeah, the guy who threatened to kill him and went.
Did
for
you
the
guys
gun.
see the Tucker Carlson interview?
Yes. Yeah. Real
last
good.
night?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that blew me away.
5 million people watched it too.
That was incredible. Just listening to, and the way, I don't know if I got the sense Rittenhouse was a little prepared or rehearsed, but at the same time still came across as honest and authentic. But you could tell he was very deliberate the way he spoke.
Well,
One point where he seemed a little snarky, but I allow him that for everything.
Well, he's been through a lot, man. So.
Yeah.
The one thing that shocked me was his first two lawyers, which was one of them was
Yes.
Lynn Wood. How he said they kept them in jail for 87 days when they had the bail money from GoFundMe.
Right.
And they said, "Oh no, you're better off in jail." He's like, "What are you talking about? He could be whacked in jail." You know.
Right. That was
So he probably has a case against them too.
yeah, I would think.
I don't know about them, but yeah, those first two lawyers were scumbag. I think they were just trying to raise as much money as they could, and they were going to keep a good deal of it themselves.
Classy.
Yeah, those lawyers.
Yeah, those lawyers, Jack.
Hmm.
Well, the
Yeah.
prosecutor, it's really no wonder that he was acquitted. I mean, the prosecutor was so bad. I mean, honest to God, he was just a joke.
Yeah, he
Can I
made a
just say
lot of
something?
mistakes.
Can I just say something? Maybe Jack could clarify something.
Yeah, I'll try.
Lynn Wood, he's a lawyer from Georgia, correct?
I don't know.
Well,
How did he get there?
yeah. Well, no. I mean, he's from Georgia, so you can't just practice law in any state, right? You have to be registered, right, in a state to practice law, correct?
Yeah, well, if he was,
Yeah, that's right. But I believe there is a way. Probably what happens is he teams with somebody on the bar in Wisconsin.
right.
I believe there's
So,
a way to do it. At
I
least
was
there
always
was on Perry Mason.
I was always wondering, like, how does Gloria Allred? She flies all over the country every time there's someone claims rape. How does she legally represent? Or Benjamin Crump? He's another one of these lawyers.
Yeah.
And how can he, unless they're registered professionally in every state?
No, Michael B is right. If you do something called, I think it's called a pro hoc vice motion, it's Latin. You have like a local lawyer who's accredited in that state, who's barred in that state. And then also in the case of Allred, she walks in. Well, and another thing is you can get barred in a lot of different states. I mean, if you're a high profile lawyer, it kind of behooves you to do that. But in the meantime, you can do it the way Michael B was talking about.
Okay.
Well, is it like medicine where like I have a license where I can practice in several different states as a nurse? No, that doesn't
That's
count.
more-
I'm talking about licenses.
That was
So, like,
it. You're right, Tom.
Yeah, you need to be admitted to the bar in the
Tom.
state.
Tom, that one almost got by me. Thanks, Tom.
Yeah, he's trying to sneak it in.
No,
getting
I
clever
was
with it.
actually thinking now not bringing it up because I knew you guys were going to say this stuff.
Hey,
No, but
hey,
in my
everybody.
job, I have like the Virginia license, but I also have DC, Maryland, New York, Pennsylvania, North Carolina. They're like just by passing my licensure, I got the ability to work in several states.
Yeah, I think that's because it's I think the nursing board is national though, right? Isn't that why?
No, they're called compact states for us. I'm just curious, do lawyers have anything, like if you're a Jersey lawyer, you can work in New York, Massachusetts, and a couple of ones
No.
around it?
No, you
I
gotta go
think you have
through.
to be admitted to the bar of the
Yeah.
state in question, and once you're admitted to the bar, you're allowed to practice law in that state.
Right.
Unless it's like we said,
Yeah, you
find a
can
lawyer
also
that's
get
there and work
licensed.
with them.
You can also get licensed federally as well to work in federal courts, and that obviously covers more ground.
I'm gonna, since we're talking about legal law, I'm gonna appeal and say that I did not make a reference, and I'd like to have that retracted from the
Objection
record.
overruled.
Yeah.
Hey,
that's
speaking
overall.
speaking of being a nurse, so I
Yeah,
learned a lot of
Zeus-
stuff in this
Zeus is a psych nurse.
in this interview. Man, he did say that everybody knows he was acting as an EMT that night, and then he said he wanted to be a nurse. Oh no, I think that came out from a lawyer in one of the interviews afterwards. But then he also said maybe now he's thinking about going into law as well.
Don't do
But
it.
so on the night, one of the things I didn't know, so on the night, like after he shot Crooch in the arm, he tried to go over and perform, he tried to give him aid like afterwards, but there were so many, the mob was like coming closer and they were yelling like, kill him, kill him. So he had to get up and run off. He was running towards the police, but he was actually going to go and try to help Crooch like right after he shot him.
Yeah, that's nuts.
I
The other
think
thing I didn't realize, so they keep talking about, he crossed state lines, which is all nonsense. I didn't realize it was against the law to cross state lines according to CNN, but they kept making a big deal about it. But he
didn't
there.
anyway.
What?
He didn't cross state lines with the weapon. He got the weapon once he was
Right.
in with, yeah.
That's what I was going to say. He was there the day before. He was working as a lifeguard at the rec center, and then he stayed overnight because of everything that was going on. He just decided to just stay there, and then the next day, he woke up. He decided, what can I do to help? And then they went and they washed graffiti off the walls for like 2 hours, and then he's going around doing EMT work. And then they ran into the car dealership and they offered to help them. And I don't know somewhere along the lines.
I think they actually
done.
asked him to help them.
Well, he offered at first, and
actually-
then they said yes.
Yeah. I'm actually amazed there weren't more people with weapons defending. Like when the LA riots happened, you had the Koreans and South Koreans on the tops of their shops with guns.
I saw some
long
pictures
rifles.
like during the riots. There was that
Yeah.
picture of a
And
guy
they're-
standing in the doorway with a
Oh, a
gun.
bunch. They were on the roof, on the roofs with the weapons, and yeah, they were ready.
I wouldn't do it. You're asking for trouble if you do that.
Well, yeah, I mean, going back to the LA riots.
Well, well, you know what? But their stores didn't get burnt or looted, so they did something right.
Sure, if you got your life tied up in that store, you're gonna. But it's it's so difficult.
Well,
If they see you with that
because of
gun,
that,
they're gonna come after you.
because of what you said, Tom, I think that these were immigrants that came over here and they pulled themselves up by their bootstraps, all that fancy talk, and they come from a place where if somebody's trying to take yours, you put them down. I'll bet you anything in those riots, those people on the roofs with their guns, they were shooting to kill.
Of course, yeah, they
You know
were.
what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
No
think about
warning shots.
think about what the looters were doing. They were not only like looting, but they were burning. They were setting fires.
Dragging people out of their trucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. They almost killed that guy.
Oh
Are you
yeah.
talking
I'm
about
sure
the
you-
LA riots or the
LA.
What was that? What was that guy's name?
Reginald Denny?
Reginald Denny.
Yes, yes.
I am a wealth of useless information.
They threw a brick at his head and they were stomping on him. I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Actually, it was worse than that. They were pounding on his head. They didn't
Yeah.
throw a brick at his head. They
Yeah.
were hitting him repeatedly whilst keeping the brick in their hands, if I remember correctly. Which
No,
is,
somebody threw a brick at his head.
Yeah.
was
Someone
the-
threw a
the-
brick at him too. Yeah.
He
Yeah.
got arrested. That guy only spent a short time in jail for doing that.
the legal system's fucked up, and everybody that's ever been a part of it.
Yeah.
So some of the other, so tell me about this guy,
lawyer.
you
Yeah, it
know,
was.
about Rittenhouse. So I
You
thought he was a
saying-
pretty nice kid to start with, but then so it came out like afterwards, he said so during high school, he would work as a janitor and a fry cook to help support the family,
I
doing
heard
the
that.
EMT, the lifeguard.
This
I mean,
kid is
this guy is
17.
just
So
like
he
a-
was 15. So how old is he? 15 being a fry cook? 15.
I don't know. I mean, how old do you have to be in Wisconsin? I mean, you can drink alcohol.
Yeah, there's
apparently
no
in
child labor
Wisconsin
laws
at the
there,
age of
or what's-
18. So I think you could be a fry cook.
I was working at a pizza place when I was 14, so I think it depends on the state you're in.
If you get like a work
Um,
permit, yeah. You can,
Yeah, that's right. Work permit. I think you
That's-
could only
that's what I
work like
do.
20 hours.
yeah.
Yeah.
No,
This
I
kid, I
think
mean, gosh,
I-
he's an amazing kid.
I think the thing that was interesting, it happened during the trial. It came out that what's his name, Gross Crooch. They had a search warrant for his phone, but the cops didn't execute the warrant. But Rittenhouse, actually, they handed over his phone to the DA. And it's amazing to me that they didn't find a morsel, not anything that they could have spun. Because if you remember the trial, they tried to spin the fact that he liked video games.
Oh,
yeah.
he's a Grand Theft Auto killer.
Right, right.
No, it was something that like Call of Duty or something.
Call of Duty, right. But the fact that they had access to his phone and they couldn't find anything to even bring up.
He's like squeaky clean. He's a little.
Well, they said him doing the OK sign, that was a white supremacist.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Big time. Yeah. That's,
Even
definitely white
Geraldo was
supremacy.
going, "Oh, he made the white supremacist." They're like, "No, Geraldo, he
It's,
just did
it's not a
OK."
white supremacist.
Right.
The
Yeah,
OK sign is a hoax.
It's
That
a
was
hoax.
that
So,
started
okay,
in
well,
4chan.
Actually, Tom, I did read the article you sent, and it was actually not to diss you. It was more along the lines of what I was saying is, yes, they do use it to incite, but it's, if you're doing percentages, it's 90% okay. You know what I mean? Everything's fine.
They're doing
But
it
there
to
is-
control you at this point.
Yeah.
Because it's not. It doesn't mean anything. So they're doing
yeah.
it to joke with you at this point because you think it means something. I don't know if
Right.
that makes any
Yeah.
sense, but
Yeah, Tom, they made it up
They're poking the
yeah, it
bear.
was completely made up. It
Yeah.
never meant anything.
because it looks like a W and a P.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about all the times the judge went off on the DA in this case? It was pretty interesting. And
Well, you said it yourself. The DA was an idiot. So I mean, he deserved to be gone.
I
off
said
on.
that.
Yeah. Didn't
Yeah.
you?
Well,
Yes.
okay, so here's something I noticed. And I'm big into like body language and things like that. So Kyle Rittenhouse definitely comes off as legit with his body language, collapsing, all that. But the thing I wanted to talk about is
Tears,
this. What's that?
nothing.
This guy, I'm assuming it's the prosecutor, is holding up the firearm in court.
Oh yeah.
Oh, God.
But here's the thing. That would be okay if he was exhibiting it lying down on the ground, pointing up at somebody. But he's just
he
taking
aimed
the
it
most
directly.
menacing-
He aimed it directly at the jurors,
Yeah.
which is the judge should have stopped him right then and there and
That's good.
reprimanded him.
Actually, that's really good theatrics. But the stupid thing is it doesn't apply. I don't know what he could have been explaining at that point, but Kyle Rittenhouse, when he fired off the firearm, he wasn't standing in a firing stance he was lying on the ground. He was lucky to shoot them, possibly. He could have
Yeah.
very well missed. So I found that kind of asinine. Yeah, this guy was just a douchebag. Anybody that had half a brain, you would think would have called onto the fact that, hey, he wasn't holding the gun like that because he was lying on his back. You know,
Well,
a better
there was-
representation would be him lying down on the ground with somebody grabbing at the barrel, or whatever.
Well,
I'll say this: that if this trial was not televised and didn't go the way it did, and if he would have got off, if it wasn't televised, there would be mass riots. But I think because a lot of the people saw,
It
what
could
he
be,
did,
yeah.
and kind of, even Anna, what's her name, Anna Gaspar of the Young Turks,
yeah.
Yeah.
and Chris Hayes, and a lot of liberals were saying, hey, he's innocent. They changed their mind.
Oh,
So,
did they?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
saw
Well, no,
like
they-
the opposite. I've seen some Young Turks takes on it, and I didn't see that one.
No,
And
no. I think what Florida Mike's talking about, I know what he's referencing. There were some surprising people that had to acknowledge that they had facts wrong
yeah.
when it came to the
Okay.
case. Yeah, that was really what it is. Like they thought he had crossed state lines with a gun. They thought the victims were black. They didn't realize factually the way it broke down, and that's another
Or they
thing.
did and they didn't care.
Well, they
Right,
lied. They out, the mainstream media just basically lied.
Yeah, they did, but at least some people fessed up to it, like you said.
Yeah.
How many
Well,
times
Biden-
how many times can you lie to somebody before you absolutely have no what do you call
Credibility.
it? Credibility, yeah.
Mikey.
What's up, Mike?
He's muted. There he
Hey,
is.
okay. Sorry I'm
Hello.
late.
No
That's
problem.
okay.
But go ahead, Mike. We're just we're all giving our reactions to when we heard the verdict, and then what we thought about the fallout.
Yeah, so I was like 3 or 4 hours late to the party. I was at work, and then I just happened to see something about it, and I really wasn't that surprised. But I was like, man, I hope people don't like get all rioting and stuff. And I think it kept pretty
Rioting.
quiet. Rioting, sorry, but I think it kept pretty quiet. I wasn't surprised.
This party ain't over yet, though. So, he pulls civil suits, he wins that could be anything, could incite it. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, anytime, of course.
I mean, Tom brought up a good point too, that these guys were talking about how Jacob Blake had died. Was that his name?
Yes,
Yeah.
Jacob
Who
Blake.
I believe so.
Who was that?
The news was
Democratic,
like talking about how he had died and he was still alive.
Yeah, he's alive.
Yeah, it's getting like blatant, the bad behavior from the media.
They're not reporters. I mean, they're not journalists.
They're
I mean,
faces.
right, because someone who was a real journalist wouldn't, they would be so ashamed and drum out of the business and never work again if they did something like that. But now it's like there's no standards.
Yeah, but it's not just the pseudo journalists, because like we're talking about celebrities and Twitter accounts and people that clearly aren't qualified. Like there's a guy from the NBA who said that they killed Jacob Blake and he was unarmed. He's a former NBA player. Like I'm not going to him.
LeBron.
I'm not going to him for news. You know what I mean? But
Right.
but you're right. It's actually the pseudo journalists themselves too that are still saying it.
They're
It's-
activist journalists.
Well,
Yeah.
you're also talking like you very good point about the social media and actors and celebrities, how Kim Kardashian is listened to. The first video I saw Kim Kardashian in?
Oh, don't say it.
No, I'm not, but trust me.
Oh, you mean
I wouldn't have thought information was her talent.
You mean the
Do you have a copy of
porno?
that by chance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I never saw that.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
She's what I like to call a good egg.
Oliver,
And quiet.
You know, Oliver Stone's son. Okay.
Oh, here we
Not
go.
personally.
Tangent.
Yeah. Well, Oliver Stone's.
Rockstone.
No, what
Oh.
I don't know what his name is, but he was when he was a kid, he was in all his movies as a kid. He's grown up now, but anyway, he claims that the mother filmed that video.
Oh, really?
Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna scream a big no. I don't think that they're that screwed up, the Kardashians. There actually seems to be some familial affection. That's
Look at
So
Mike. Look at
so
Mike.
So who filmed
Right,
it?
Mike, stay on
Hey,
point,
guys,
boys. Stay
Kyle
on
Rittenhouse.
target.
Kyle
Yeah,
Rittenhouse, come back.
no, Kyle
come back.
Rittenhouse definitely didn't film it. He could have been a baby.
I got an interesting take.
And I just got here.
I haven't heard anybody say this, but okay, so everybody's complaining about Rittenhouse being a vigilante and how bad that is. But okay, so if the other guys, the Huber and Rosenbaum and Grosskreutz, they allegedly, from their perspective, they were trying to claim that they were chasing Rittenhouse down because they thought he was an active shooter, which he wasn't
Right.
really. But if they're chasing him and trying to take the gun away from him because they think he's an active
Are they
shooter,
vigilantes?
then aren't they the vigilantes? I haven't heard anybody else say that, but I've been
Well,
thinking
that
the
kind of
whole
leans
time.
into my question earlier about the one guy that got shot in the arm getting off scot-free when he was actually attacking. You know, he was the most lethal of the whole group.
Right.
That
Well,
he
Jack
shot.
said they gave him, immunity, which I didn't know that.
I didn't.
That
know
doesn't
either.
surprise me.
Yeah.
I think so. I think so.
So
Yeah,
he,
yeah.
so wait a minute. He has former DUIs, correct?
He just
And
got
current.
another one after the trial.
So he has misdemeanors or
Um,
felonies?
He's
I
got
don't know what he
felonies
has,
too.
So then how was he legally, then he was not legal. If you have a felony, you can't carry a gun. You can't own
No,
a gun.
no. If you have a violent felony,
I don't think
you
he was
can-
legally carrying the
it's a
gun.
felony.
No,
Any felony.
if you have any felony, you can't vote and you can't own a gun.
He,
can't even
I
have a
don't
gun.
think it was legal.
Gordon Liddy
Yeah.
had a very peaceful crime called Watergate, and he lost his right to carry afterwards.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
I'm
Is
with
that right,
Tom.
Jack, or is that a
Yeah.
state by state thing?
No, Zeus, if you have any kind of a felony, if you have any felony whatsoever, it doesn't matter. You cannot own a gun.
But
He
I-
didn't have a permit for the gun.
You can do it illegally.
Yes.
So why
can
wasn't he
have-
charged?
I don't know.
Had immunity.
I don't think of them as illegal guns. I think of them as undocumented staplers.
But Jack, so my
Yeah.
question on Jack,
That's
the other guy,
hilarious.
the jump kick guy,
Yeah.
he wanted immunity, but then they said,
Yes.
okay, we're not going to have you as a witness because you asked for immunity. So how does that work then?
Because they were not going to grant immunity to jump kick guy.
Why
That's
did they
why
call him?
Why did they do it for Grosskreutz?
I think they needed Grosskreutz to testify, even though it backfired on them because he had to admit he had an illegal firearm.
Mhm.
Yeah, for what it's worth, he came across as I didn't hate him because he was honest and he said exactly. I mean, he could have still lied, to save his own ass and fucked everything up.
Well, what was he doing out there in the first place? Why was he out?
Cause
Why
trouble.
was he out there? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, he was.
Troublemaker.
And it's interesting because you got a large group of people that think alike, which I never like. I'm never a fan of large group of people that think the same things. But they called these protesters and not an angry mob, which I got much more of an angry mob vibe off of them
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
protesters.
Yeah.
And just short of, if this was the 1500s, they would have literally been carrying torches and pitchforks.
But listen, nobody that attacked Rittenhouse of the four guys, not a single one was not already a felon.
Yep.
They all had records, they in and out of jail, in and out of mental hospitals or whatever.
Yeah. What are the chances, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, these were all like bad people. There wasn't like one like innocent just protester wrapped up
Well,
in
there
the,
is
I mean,
you could hypothesize that people that are willing to take things to that next level may have a propensity towards violence. more than others. You know, you will have people that are strong-willed and are willing to stand there with a sign that has some funny meme type saying on it, but not going to go to the next level of torches and
Right.
pitchforks. So I think that those guys, they're kind of like the worker ants. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And they're just like, you know, Queen tells them to go attack and they just go attack. Now I'm not
They
saying
could
that
be
there
the
was
fire
like
starters. I mean, it only takes a couple of guys to light,
oh yeah,
you know, a dozen fires. Right.
Yeah, no, and
Well, I
Nobody got
I
the
wouldn't be at
Prodigy
all
reference?
surprised. A lot of these things, there are people in there that are gonna, in there specifically to foment. And those that may be what their purpose was, where maybe the rest of the people are pissed off, but they're not really willing to go that far. You need to get somebody that'll basically knock things over and turn it violent. And it sounds to me like if you were looking for somebody to do it, they would be pretty good candidates.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the one guy that Jack, well, I'm gonna re-mention something Jack said last week because I thought it was funny, was the one guy had just left the mental institution, and what he threw at Kyle Rittenhouse was like his bag of belongings that that you get when you leave.
Yeah.
I find that hilarious.
It's a fact. It's a fact.
That's so funny. He probably went and grabbed a few beers, bought a pack of cigarettes, and went out to go wreak some
hurled
havoc.
it.
Yeah.
He's just wandering down the street and walked right into a riot and
It was like
decided to join.
There's
in.
like a toothbrush, a bunch of business cards, and his wallet.
Yeah. I still love the idea of the psych nurses on the ward being like, you think it's a good idea to let him out tonight? I heard there's a riot downtown.
Totally fantastic. Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of being in jail, yeah, don't say anything. So Kyle said he was in jail for 87 days, right?
Wow.
Mostly in like a juvenile. I mean,
It probably
it was
literally
kind of
turned
funny
18 in
the
jail.
way he described it. So he said he was in juvenile most of the time, and he kind of got along with the guys there and played cards. And then he went to the adult jail, like right towards the end, right before they released him. And I think he spent 21 days there.
Yeah.
It was funny. He said the adult jail he was in he equated it to a Super 8. He said it was like a 1-star hotel. He said he had a TV, he had a shower in there, but it didn't work apparently. He had like a phone, he had a tablet in there, he had a desk, he had like a nice little room like to himself, and he was in there for 21 days. He said there was no running water though.
Oh,
Right.
dude,
That sucks.
But
done deal. I'm going to kill somebody. I'm going to do it in Kenosha.
Yeah, it's the place.
well, I think that was probably the high profile cell
Hmm.
that they stuck him in because they didn't want to put him with general population, I guess.
Jeez.
I wonder
But,
if you look really closely, he's got a little teardrop tattoo right underneath his eye now.
But yeah,
It's
that was
just a
funny.
warning. I don't know. Like I said, I'm concerned for him because again, now if he dates, if he's got to watch who he dates, he's got to watch everything he does. His life is not going to be as bad as if he'd gone to prison, but it's going to be unpleasant. Like, you know, he'll go to the supermarket and somebody will bump
Right.
into him, or
He's that guy. He's the guy that
And that's if nobody's actively gunning for him. And I don't mean with a gun, but I mean, like
Right.
your point about going out on a date. How about if they recruit somebody to
scream rape.
go out on a date with him and then accuse him of rape when he's not done anything, just to basically put him in the shit again?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not outside the realm of possibility, especially if you're as paranoid as I am.
Yeah, it's just scary. I mean, and what if he does lose his shit sometime? He never did it before. This wasn't him losing his shit, but he gets into a fist fight, or, you know, whatever. Somebody offends his sensibilities enough, and he just gets into a fight now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be compounded 1,000%. Oh, now it's all coming together. did go out there. You know what I mean? It's
He's
If
got
he
the
even
taste
gets
for
a
blood.
speeding ticket, we're
He's
going to
got
hear
the taste
about
for
it on the
blood,
news.
right?
pretty
Yeah,
much.
he accidentally ran over a squirrel, and it's going to make the national news.
Yeah,
Where's
PETA's
Jackie?
going to come after him.
Where's
I think
Jackie?
we'll be fine, man. He seemed like I mean, I didn't see all the interview, but he seemed like a pretty smart kid. I mean, look
Seems
at Sandman. Sandman, he's he's owning everything. I mean, he's like going after everybody.
Who?
But he's been
The
getting
Covington
death
kid?
threats, though.
Nick
I'm not
Sandman.
familiar.
that guy. The CNN guy.
The guy that was wearing the MAGA hat with the Native
Yeah.
American guy drumming in his face.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The Native
Um,
American
Oh,
hero.
yeah. I remember.
Again, if you're gonna be involved in something like that, you probably don't want to put a neon sign with an arrow pointing to you. I mean,
I'm just
Well,
saying.
he didn't do anything wrong, Zeus. He won the lawsuit against CNN. They doctored
he
the
won.
video so
Yeah.
much to
Yeah,
make
he
it
was-
look like he was
He
bad.
was
He
standing
was
there
totally
minding his own.
falsely.
He was
He didn't do
standing there
anything.
minding his own business, and this guy comes up to him, beating a drum in his face, and he just stood there smiling at him, like, "What are you doing?" You know?
oh,
And
maybe I'm
then-
thinking of the wrong guy.
slandered. Yeah,
Nick
he was,
Sandman. Yeah, he was on a high school trip. What do you call it? Like a field trip to Washington D.C.
No, okay,
Yeah.
I'm thinking of a different guy. I was thinking of the guy that had the big old buffalo.
Oh, you're talking about the January 6th.
That's the shaman.
The
The
QAnon shaman.
QAnon
Yeah.
shaman. No, he's
Okay.
still in jail.
Oh no, he got sentenced pretty significant.
4
I think
years.
like 3 years, 8 months or something.
Yeah, 3 or 4 years. But no, Mike is
Yeah.
right because he's got a lot of just like constant death threats, and he's got has to have people kind of provide security for him right now. He's trying to find a place to move to.
Yeah, no,
So-
he's got to lay low until the settlement cash rolls in, and then he's
Yeah,
got
I
to.
think he could get
by
millions.
himself.
You
Some
know
privacy.
who he should hook up with, and they'd make a perfect couple. Casey
Kardashian.
Anthony.
No, what? What?
It's like the
makes no
dating
What did you
game.
say?
She murdered her child.
In this corner, we have
Oh,
this fabulous
oh.
man. He
Well, yeah, he murdered 3 people. He killed
killed-
3 people. Got away
No,
with it.
no, not
killed
murdered.
2 people in self-defense.
You're going to be
This
on
other
the
lady
lawsuit list.
Killed her
from Italy.
Yeah, Mike's gonna be on the lawsuit.
Mike
but-
Gray, you're
Oh.
getting sued. Don't say
Oh, no.
murdered.
He didn't murder anybody.
It was self-defense.
Self-defense.
I don't think
Yeah.
anyone takes us seriously enough to
Yeah.
Not yet.
do us. I mean,
But God
maybe.
forbid we get
Uh,
successful, then they will take all this stuff seriously.
Please sue us. We need the publicity as much as possible.
Yeah.
Please
No.
sue us.
Sue
There-
Mike.
Many
Wilkes.
things you can zoom in on. Look
Sue
at all
Mike
of our
Wilkes.
episodes.
Perfect
Plenty of
Day
material.
Villages.
Brandon down there.
Yeah, they're gonna sue
Let's
Tattoo
sue
from
Brandon.
Yeah.
Let's go, Brandon.
No, yeah, I'm sorry, Mike. I'm not trying to beat you up. I just see no connection between Casey Anthony and this.
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't either.
No, I think it was a joke. I thought it was
It was
funny actually.
It was a joke. It was a
Oh,
joke.
Yeah.
thank God. Thank God. Because, yeah, I couldn't see that. She's a horrible person. Horrible
What
person.
about Joe Biden? Is he in trouble?
He's not great either.
Well, I know.
End,
but, I mean,
end of quote.
Well,
End
yeah,
of
he could be
quote, Joe
sued.
Biden.
He could
End
be
of-
sued
end of
because
quote.
he did it when he was running for president, not when he was president. And
Right.
he made a campaign thing about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, he could be sued, and the campaign could be sued.
Even as president, you can sue the president. Why wouldn't you be able to sue the president?
I don't think they can. You can't take them to court while they're.
President.
Yeah.
Well, you mean like what do they call it? Civil. You can't civil suit against them.
Well, he's
But
got
I
a
mean-
liability. He's got a liability case there, for sure.
Yeah, no, he
I
can
think so.
sue him.
Yeah. Yeah, I would find that a very unjust government if you can't.
Yeah,
not
but
just that, but then afterwards, so Biden. They asked him afterwards, and he said that he was angry and concerned about the verdict.
Hmm.
Why is Biden angry?
Yeah.
And who cares about his colonoscopy while we're at it? You know what? You did hear though that when they give him his colonoscopy, they found his head up there.
Oh God.
That's where he keeps all his CP, right?
Now, I'm wondering how he could comply with the instructions about taking the bowel cleansing drugs beforehand, so he has a
Oh,
nice
go
clean
lightly.
bowel. I can imagine what it's like going up Biden's butt, can't you? That probably it looks
Never
like
thought
that's
about it.
fantastic
No,
Well,
I
footage.
mean,
they,
yeah.
they're
Nobody's
saying
business.
they're
Never crossed my
saying
mind.
well, they're saying that he
Maybe it's
he
just me.
went he went in his pants when he visited the Pope, right?
Yeah,
No,
I
he
heard
shit
that.
his pants.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm
Wait a
saying.
minute.
I gotta say again
See,
this week.
I'm not
he's-
cursing, guys. You guys said to me, "Hey, you got to watch your mouth."
Is
I'm
that
not
li-
cursing.
is-
and you
wait.
guys
Did I
are
say
cursing
that?
all over
Okay,
the
Where'd
place.
you hear that
No.
That's
from?
on me. Sorry. I'm
Where'd
No,
you
we
hear
didn't.
the
We didn't
shitting in the
say
pants
not
thing
that
from?
you couldn't cuss. We kind of made a general statement that none of us should, and here we are.
Not me. I've been keeping it.
Well, let me just talk about the other thing, which was meeting the Prince of Wales and the Princess of Wales, where he broke wind
Yeah, he farted real loud.
noticeably and loudly.
You
Yeah,
guys
they were
sure?
laughing about it.
Are you listening to like doctored videos or something?
Tangent alert.
Anybody
Tangent
can
alert.
sneak in a
Tangent
fart.
alert.
Yeah, not to
Well-
harken back to
well-
last week, but his the president's flatulence is about 5,488 on my list of concerns about Joe Biden. I mean,
What
he
would you
just
do?
read the teleprompter
you know,
instructions today on
what do you
live
do?
television.
Yeah,
Did you
what
guys
do
see
you do?
that?
What do you do? What do
No,
you do?
I missed that.
He was reading.
Tell
He was
them.
reading from a teleprompter, and we
Right.
got to the end, and he said, "End of quote."
Oh, he always does that. Yeah.
That
I
is
thought you were going to say his flatulence is more popular than he is.
no. I'm saying we don't have a president. This guy is a disaster. Like
He's a grand president.
he's so high on whatever. He's probably embalmed already. I don't know. I'm just telling you. He just read the teleprompter instructions. I mean, I feel like I'm living in a bad movie. It's ridiculous.
I
It
just
is
Is
I-
kinda-
anyone else concerned about this? Just
Yeah.
asking.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
problem is that
Endless fingers.
Kamala is so much worse than he is that nobody wants him to resign right now.
I feel like I'm in a Peter Sellers movie. That's what I feel like, for real.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like you do not want him to resign, because what are the alternatives?
I keep hearing that they're going to switch Kamala with Buttigieg. That's the
Oh,
that's
God,
the
that'll
rumor.
be better.
I've heard that too.
That's
How-
somehow
how
she-
would they do that?
Well, she supposedly they're going to make her step down and put Buttigieg in there, and then
Bring it on, man. It's all
Yeah.
good. Whatever. It's all good.
Yeah, he's got to have.
It's so ridiculous.
some quirky history. I'm sure it wouldn't take too many texts from his phone to find something wrong.
All right.
The
Any
one
last
thing
so anything
I
else on
take
Kyle?
away.
And I
No, I
already
think
Not
we're-
go off on
Tangent alert.
Buttigieg.
I think we're burnt out on this whole thing. Really. I mean,
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, I can say one more thing about it, and that's that. Luckily, we haven't had violence, but I've found it very alarming and upsetting that people are just like they're like not catching on that he is not a white supremacist. They're just you know, they just bring race into it, even though there's really no ground to stand on. There's no history from him. He shot 3 white
Right.
people. He fired how many shots? 3?
No. more than
No,
that.
a lot more than that.
Oh, really?
Do you understand that the lieutenant governor of Virginia, who's a black woman, they're basically saying she's like an Uncle Tom.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
Winston
Yeah.
Churchill.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we talked about that.
and they call black conservatives sellouts and like they're
Oreos.
yeah, Orioles. Yeah, right. They're calling them white supremacists because they're conservative and or Republican. So
It-
there's no
Right.
winning. There's no winning with Don Lemon and
Yeah, I
Joy
was thinking
Reid.
about that. So I think they
Yeah,
took
no.
these guys
is-
that were shot and they kind of, in the same way, in the same
Martyred
sense,
them?
they're almost like those guys are black, kind of like they're stand-ins.
Well,
the
no,
same way
they're
that those other people.
they're heroes because they were part of the movement.
Mhm.
I mean, if you can
Yeah, I think really
consider, like
that's really what
Larry-
it comes
what
down
was his
to. If
name?
you're hard
Larry
left,
Elder.
that's the only thing that counts.
Yeah, and you know what's funny too is Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton were very good friends with Byrd. Well, I can't think.
Oh,
Yeah.
Richard Byrd, the
Richard
Kleagle.
Byrd, and he was a grand dragon of the Ku Klux Klan, and they
Kleagle.
were, they eulogized him at his funeral. They went to his funeral, and there's pictures of Byrd kissing Hillary, and they were good friends.
There's a
No, it
lot of
wasn't. It wasn't.
hypocrisy.
It wasn't
going
just
around.
them too. It was Obama and Biden. Were
Yeah.
also buddies with him.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what you're dealing with here.
So how come where's the cancel culture for them? You know?
Oh,
There
that's
is none because
Well-
they're left.
yeah. Cancel culture doesn't count for the left. They gloss over a lot. And listen, I'm not gonna take back. I still lean. I'm more centrist now after all this crap that's been going on. But I still appreciate the left dogma, but it's just being used to. It's like a cast net. You know, those things you throw it over the side of the bridge and catch a bunch of fish.
Yeah.
They throw out a keyword and hope that that's the one that catches the most guppies. It's
The Democrat Party it's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and they just got taken over.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it's not your grandparents' Democrat Party. I mean, my
Yeah.
grandparents were all Democrat. I had political discussions with family members and stuff. They weren't espousing the things that are being espoused now by this quote unquote
There are things
Democrat
that the
Party.
Republicans do.
It is so funny how the Democrats have switched positions with the Republicans, because they used to be against big, like big business and the banks, and now it's like they're in bed with the corporations,
Yeah.
because they're
Yeah.
funding them. They're getting paid by them,
Yeah, well, that was the story always, but it's been that way for a long time. There's, it's like big companies have all the advantages, and they use the government to basically keep competition out. I mean, things like, I don't know, I'd have to do a stupid safety training for half a night twice a year. I have to do this Sarbanes-Oxley compliance training a couple of times a year. It's just shit that if you're a small company, it's going to break you to have your employees doing non-productive things. But if you're a big company, it's no problem. And it's like big companies have big legal offices to make sure that they're complying with all the government crap, but a small guy can't. So
Yeah.
basically, the big companies love big government.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
if you go look at the net worth of Nancy Pelosi, when she took office in the 1970s, she was worth maybe 200,000, and now she's worth, I think, $100 million.
I probably,
Yeah.
I don't know, but
That was
you're-
one of the things I said about Kyle, because he's basically like a poor, lower middle class, blue collar kid. And then all these elitists on the left side that are criticizing him. It's kind of strange.
Mhm.
Yeah. The Democrats used to be for the union and, small business, and they're not anymore. So,
Yeah, it is a naked power grab. It is all about power. If you look at it through the lens of these people are trying to bring more and more power on themselves as fast as possible, everything they're doing makes perfect sense.
and all this, the left, they want open borders basically, and unlimited immigration, and unlimited immigration hurts poor people. It hurts the lower working class. Okay.
yeah, it's just more people to work on rich people's
You're
lawns.
right. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
but
Yeah, we
from their
need some new servants. Open those borders. Yeah, my gardeners.
Yeah, from that perspective, it's like more voters, more people that they can
Yeah.
pander to and tell them, oh, we're going to make everything good for you. We're gonna
I was
make-
seeing on Drudge, it said New York City is allowing 800,000 non-citizens to vote in New York, or the New York City area.
Yeah, that was strange.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
So
It's,
what does it mean to be an American citizen right now? And apparently it doesn't, because Joe Biden wants to give $400,000 to each immigrant who was separated from their child or children.
I
that
heard that's
crossed
not
the-
true.
No, at first they questioned him and he said, no, that's not true. And they said, yeah, it is. And no, so but that is what they want to do. But
What
there's
does
blowback.
What does this
You think?
verdict mean? Hang on, Zeus. What does this verdict mean, like on the riot there, or for a Second Amendment? Is this a win for like Second Amendment?
Yeah.
I think so.
It's-
It's actually
and-
a win
and
for the right to
self-defense.
self-defense.
Yeah.
What it is.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's a
I
win
mean-
in a game that shouldn't even have been played.
Because
Yeah.
if it
yeah.
had gone the other way, what would happen is anytime you are confronted by an angry mob, if you can't run away, you're screwed because you're certainly not allowed to
Right.
defend
If
yourself.
somebody
So,
points a gun at your face and you're not
Yeah.
allowed to defend yourself,
yeah,
I mean, what do you do?
Well, that's what I was saying last week. I mean, the whole argument for self-defense was on trial.
And not to bring everything back to media all the time, but we're on the thread, someone mentioned Levin, and he had a good point a while ago. And it was basically like, I just lost my train of thought. Fuck. Sorry. It was about the Rittenhouse.
Levin,
Yeah.
Mark
No.
Levine.
Levine.
Yeah. Mark
I'll remember
Levin.
in a second.
Yeah, no, Mike, it was about the media. It was about them basically tearing down the fabric of the country or something.
Yeah, I mean, it was basically this wasn't the original point, but if you were watching what these corporations and, referring to the companies that own them, I mean, these things are purposeful. But if you were just watching those
He did that.
sources, you'd be totally shocked at what the verdict was.
Right. This goes back to, the left, their hero, Saul Alinsky. He
yeah,
wrote a book called Rules for Radicals. In fact, he was Hillary Clinton's professor in school. When she went to college. And supposedly
he was Obama's neighbor.
Was he? Saul Alinsky, was he?
Yes,
Oh, I
he
didn't know
was.
that.
He was Obama's neighbor.
Yeah, well, he wrote a book called Rules for Radicals, and that's their playbook. And also, if you've ever heard of Cloward and Piven, these two Columbia professors, where
Yeah.
they said, how do you destroy the country? You overwhelm the system. Okay. So you
Exactly.
overwhelm it, get us into all these wars to weaken our military. You allow all these immigrants, illegal, not legal immigrants, illegal immigrants, to just pour in to get on the welfare system, and you destroy that. You destroy the history, taking down the statues, renaming holidays. Now they're calling, instead of Thanksgiving, Friendsgiving, or what are they calling it?
Good name.
What's wrong
Yeah.
with thanks?
Oh, well, because
Thanks is
the
bad.
pilgrims, killed Native American Indians, I don't know.
But to get back, just to tie a bow on the Rittenhouse stuff, and then we'll probably wrap up the episode. But is there any, because I'm kind of worried about the Second Amendment now, because of the verdict went in favor of the Second Amendment, does this kind of galvanize the left even more?
Yeah.
They're going to be just like, okay, well, we just got to get rid of the guns somehow so that this can't happen again.
Right.
So that's my worry.
Yeah,
my
they
only
could.
my only hope is that not my only hope, but a hope, and I thought about this recently, is the people on the far left that are pushing this stuff, from a percentage of the population, I think is way smaller than we think. I think we give them more credit than they deserve. So they control a lot of industries and information portals that amplify things, right? So major news corporations, Twitter, Facebook, social media, all of the major, media, television, news. So however many there are, they are overrepresented in the discourse, right? So to what degree? I don't think it's 50-50. I know the elections are 50-50. But I think there's way more people who are quiet, who I'm not saying agree with us, but agree with us more than them, that are more in the dark. I don't know. It's just, and I don't know. I don't know. I'm hoping it's less.
Yeah,
than
me too.
50%.
Well, I also think what happens is in the last few years, we've been in a situation where the left has just been overreaching a lot. That automatically or usually will cause a counter reaction. And I'd be very surprised if the election in 2022 don't turn out more in a way that would make us happy. But like you said, it's 50-50. It's going to swing back and forth. And
politically, a year, not to interrupt you, Mike, but politically, a year is like a decade.
Yeah, you're right.
All these people that are like, oh man, we definitely got in the bag in 22, or we meaning whoever, right? I mean, I think these are novices to politics. I mean, I look at a year is like a million years. Anything could happen.
Yeah, because anything can happen.
Yeah, you're right. It could. I mean,
and people have very short memories.
Yeah.
You remember George Bush was just in the catbird seat, and then Katrina happened, and all at once he lost the Senate. Yeah.
And I'll stick to my guns. I may not have liked him very much when he was in George W. But I will say this. On 9/11, I don't know if I've ever said this, but on 9/11, I don't think there was a better person to be in there. He made people feel comfortable. Like it was interesting. Just he wasn't overly vengeful. He handled himself very well that night. In fact, it still stands out in my memory. Like you're watching TV and they're showing the Capitol building with all the lights off all around it because they didn't want it to be like a easy target. It was an interesting time. And then looking back on it, did he do some wrong things? Absolutely. But I think overall he wasn't the worst guy we could have had at that time.
I think that's exactly
remind me not to have you give my eulogy. Zeus. He wasn't exactly a horrible person.
Well, no, I mean
he wasn't completely horrible and a disaster.
I would never say that about you. You're a sweet boy.
He wasn't the worst president we ever had.
You should
watch two
Mike
or three worst people
boy.
I can think of.
You should watch the
Mike
movie
was
Dick.
a sweet boy. We'll miss him and all his anti-left diatribes.
Did you guys see the movie Dick?
No.
No.
You should watch it.
We're gonna go watch.
Is this the Richard Nixon?
All right, let's go, guys.
No. It's about Dick Cheney. With the Christian Bale.
It's called Vice. Okay. It's called Vice.
Oh, Vice. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
but,
you was thinking about.
But you guys should check out
rewatch Dick too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
not checking out Dick anytime soon.
All right.
No, take him duck hunting.
Okay.
I love this show.
Oh, that's classic. We could do a host show on Cheney shooting that lawyer. He doesn't say anything, and then the what do you call it? The bird shot matriculates through his vein, his artery into his heart, and he had a heart attack on the operating table, and they had to revive him. And then when he has a press conference, the first thing he does is he apologizes to Dick Cheney.
That was the part that offended me about
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Dick Cheney. I put you through all this.
Hold on. I'm looking up the word matriculates.
Matriculate.
I don't think you know what this word means.
I'm not matriculating because you can see my fingers.
No, he's got it.
Yeah.
Who was the coach of the Kansas City Chiefs? The famous line is, "We're just going to keep on matriculating the ball."
Matriculating the ball. Yeah, we're going to matriculate the ball.
All right, good. I think we've been on over an hour.
I'm just getting
we
started.
Wish Kyle Rittenhouse all the best of luck, but I think we've been on long enough. If I can steal a phrase from Jack.
Keep your nose clean, young fella.
This is just a way to get me off the show, and then they're gonna go back on. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, boys.
No.
End of quote.
Doing that.
Yes.